It's season 3, episode 4 of the Hall of Fame show, and I've got with me a porn star from the 70s. What is this?
I just want to let you know, I freaked out because they would not let me in at 54. So here I am on this episode instead.
Okay. Oh, nice. Oh, Studio 54. I had to think about that.
Come on. Keep up with the freak out lyrics, my friend.
Oh, freak out. Yes, the song that when you were born.
Yes, exactly right. So.
Yeah, this will make no sense to anyone just listening, but Evan's rocking the porn stash today.
Yeah, it's the only time you'll ever see me with a mustache. I told my wife I was keeping it for an event we were supposed to have on Monday in the office. I was running a game show where I even had like a thin little microphone, like the old Match Game 77. And then it snowed 4 inches here. And they said, don't come in the office unless you have to. So I'm saving it for next week. But I already shaved my face. So I told my wife right before he came on that I was keeping till Monday. And her exact reaction was, why?
How's that couch?
It's fine. It's actually pretty comfortable.
Sounds like a man with experience.
Yeah.
Well, baseball had a pretty big week. I don't know if we want to go into that right away because I've got a weird shit box because I don't know how animated I am on this. I told you what it was, but I didn't really tell you my take because I don't even know my take.
We could start with that. I will lead up to it saying that I saw that Neil Young and Eric Clapton were both trending on Twitter.
I did see
I was like, man, I bet those are for opposite reasons. And they were 100% for opposite reasons.
And yet they will always be on the same classic rock station.
That is true.
I've said many times, well, not many times, I think maybe twice to you that while I respect Eric Clapton, I always thought he was a miserable man. And I thought that when long before he was an old man.
That's true. He's always been a miserable man. Just a reminder that his most famous song is about stealing someone's wife. So
is it you think Tears in Heaven might be? No,
Layla's still the
okay. Yeah, fair enough. That acoustic cover was it's completely unnecessary. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. I want to talk about, because I'm sort of watching this play out in real time on Twitter, this whole thing with Neil Young and Spotify. And there are people, and I think this is where I worry so much about the tribalism of the US and really the West in general, where people say, well, we won. So let's try and come up with some kind of balanced thing here if we could. Because I don't think anybody won this one. I really, really don't.
Okay.
Did Neil make a point? Sure. Did he get what he wanted? No.
What do you think he wanted?
I think he
wanted... Actually, let's describe the situation for people who may not be familiar.
Okay. All right. So let's bring up the open letter that he put on and then took down a day later. And I think that is sort of relevant. He wanted. Okay, so I wish this was a better quote. He demanded that his music be removed from Spotify due to vaccine misinformation spread by podcaster Joe Rogan, saying they can have Rogan or Young, not both. I'm doing this because Spotify is potentially causing death to those who believe the disinformation being spread by them. This is where it gets kind of Karen-y to me. Please act on this immediately today and keep me informed of the time schedule. He could have said, I'd like to speak to the manager. Kind of wish he worded that maybe a little better at the end, but whatever. That's a nitpick.
Okay.
Which I acknowledge. So did he think going into this that they were just going to say, you know what, you're a legend, which he is. And there's a lot of people who might be down on Neil, which there are. But if you think that he's not a legend, go fuck yourself, because he is.
Of course.
You cannot have a list of the 100 most important musicians in the last 50 years. And if he's not on it, that list is wrong. Would you agree?
100%.
Okay. Saying that, did he think that he was going to win and get Rogan kicked off?
No, of course he didn't.
You think so? Because I wonder.
Of course he didn't. I mean, Joe Rogan has 11 million people per podcast.
Mhm.
He's the number one podcast on the number one podcast site
Mhm.
anywhere. Like, there's no way they're going to be like, oh, you're right. We're going to dump it because Neil Young said so.
Mhm.
I mean, that wasn't his point, I don't think.
Here's what I think, and maybe throw whether you think this, whether I'm onto something. I think he thought he was going to get met with a bunch of love from his peers. And that didn't happen. Yes, a bunch of blue check marks rallied around him. None of them were musicians, and none of them said, "We stand with you, Neil." Now, maybe that might change by the time this goes to air, and maybe this might change in a week from now. I don't know that I have a dog in this fight. I like Joe Rogan. I like Neil Young. I don't take my medical advice from either of them.
True.
So, and for what it's worth, and whether anyone cares, I'm vaccinated. I'm now boosted. Yay, nay, I don't know. I did it because I wanted to. I don't really care much what anyone else does at this point. You're not going to listen to me, and nor should you. Not on this. But I do think that Neil thought that he was going to get a lot of support in his community. Now, he said he did in an open thing after, but I didn't see one musician. Now, maybe, and I looked, I couldn't find one, and I'm sure if there was, that would have been all over Twitter. Why did not one other musician step up?
I mean, they're afraid of Spotify.
Or they're afraid of Rogan, or they don't, or they just, I don't know.
Is anyone really afraid of Rogan?
If you're in a fight, you should be, but no, because they shouldn't be, because Joe Rogan does it. Like, that's the other interesting thing here. Rogan's not going to probably talk about this too much, at least not publicly, because I don't know if A, he cares, or B, he's just not going to let anyone know that he cares. I don't know which is true.
Right.
Okay. So Rogan gets attacked all the time, and Rogan rarely talks about people shitting on him. And a lot of people want him to, and he doesn't.
Mm-hmm.
So where I think Neil takes the L is I'm convinced that he thought he was going to get other people to sort of jump on this cause with him, and no one did. And where Spotify takes the L, it's another thing of like big corporate greed that it's just a bad look for the whole thing. I don't have Spotify, not because I'm making any political stance, because I can't get it down here in Barbados. I was thinking, okay, well, because I thought, well, maybe Evan's going to ask me, am I going to get when I'm back in Canada? No, probably not. I got iTunes, I got everything I really need. And when Rogan does something interesting, usually it's on YouTube. It's parts of it anyway. So like, it's not worth it for me to get a second streaming service. Putting it also bluntly too, when he said 11 million, because I looked that too, and like, holy shit, that is, I don't know if there's the proper perspective to put on this. That is more, like based on the numbers from last week, than the combined of the viewership of Tucker Carlson, Sean Hannity, Joy Reid, Rachel Maddow, Don Lemon, and what's his name? Anderson Cooper. Combined.
Mm-hmm.
That blew me away. I knew he was higher than all of them. I didn't know combined. Again, I don't know what this necessarily means in terms of culture. I'm still trying to formulate this. I don't know that Neil came off looking all that good, especially when you're a protest singer. And this is a different protest where you're saying, no, listen to the government. That's generally not what protest singers do. It doesn't mean you can't, but it's not typical. I don't know. What do you think? Because
protest singers aren't necessarily protesting the government. They're they are. I mean, he was protesting the government at the time because of 4 dead in Ohio. Like the government was shooting people, right? He also went after Southern Man.
Yeah,
that wasn't the government. That was
rocking in the free world was, but overall, that's a valid point. But this one, I don't know. This just doesn't feel right. Now, I understand too that the vaccines are a big part of him because of his polio as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
So I completely get that point and why this is far more important to him. Actually, the biggest shock of all this, I didn't know that he married Daryl Hannah. When the hell did that happen?
It didn't make much of a splash with you.
Oh, well done. Well
Thank you.
done. No, I didn't know that. So I mean, I just saw a bunch of people attacking her online, which guys, come on, like, what the fuck? Don't do that shit. There's
Yeah.
no point. But
People did stuff on the internet that had a point. There'd be no internet.
yeah, exactly. Well, I'm trying to see the positive, and that it brought you and I together.
That is true.
Yeah.
That is true.
So no, I honestly feel like in this, Neil kind of loses because I wonder if he really thought he was going to get people rallying around him, and that fell flatter than a plate full of piss.
Yeah, I don't think that was necessarily the point for him though. Like there's no way he could have expected they're just going to dump Joe Rogan.
Well,
I mean,
he did ask him or me,
right? But he knew that it was not going to be him.
Yeah, but he didn't word it that way. So
fine,
yeah.
but I mean, it's I'm fired. No, I quit first. It's the same sort of thing. He was Spotify gives a pittance to every person who has their stuff played on their site. Like every time a song is played, it's absolute pittance. So it may be just more than that anyway. That may have just been he's so fed up with the whole system, and this was another thing he could throw at them. It was the straw that broke the camel's back or whatever.
Well, and so also he doesn't own half his material anymore.
Yeah, he already gave it away. So what's he losing?
Not very much.
Well, not gave it away. He sold it. I'm sorry. He did not out of goodness of heart give it away. He sold it.
Yeah, because the statement he put out today, because the co-owner of that all backed him, which I'm sure they love to do that.
Yeah,
but
I feel no remorse for that person.
Yeah, I don't either. But I'm sure. But it is one of those things where I demand you take my music off. I mean, music he sold half the art to.
Mm-hmm. Again, I don't think that was necessarily the point. I think he was more interested in making the point than anything else.
Could be. I just wonder though if the point that sort of came back it was that it's not just 6 million downloads, because it said like 6 million streams of Neil Young compared to 20 million in a month for Joe.
Mm-hmm.
Let's break that down by minute.
Yeah, I mean it's hugely.
It's not even close. Who is actually, and that's sort of the thing I think that whether you like Joe Rogan or not, if you think that he's not more relevant than Neil Young is in 2022,
of course,
yeah. But there's a lot of people who you see on Twitter like people think that Joe's more. Well, right now he is. Is he more talented? I don't think so. Is he more important than in 2022? Fuck yeah, that's not even close.
100%, I agree with that.
And I think that was an interesting wake up call for a lot of people. I don't know what this is going to result in, or anything. For whatever reason, this story fascinated the hell out of me, and I just wanted to talk to a like-minded individual or someone who would have an opinion on it, not necessarily like-minded.
Yeah, I mean, I have anyone who knows my view on this. I have a definite good guy and bad guy in this from my perspective. Mm-hmm. But it differs from
mine, which is fine.
Right.
But, yeah.
Oh my God, we could talk about it and have different opinions? No.
Exactly. Well, I don't know that there's a good guy necessarily in this.
Right, exactly. There's one person more likely to side with than the other. But again, I don't think that Neil Young was actually expecting him to pull the Spotify to pull the cord of Rogan. There's just no way they're going to do it. Besides, what would Aaron Rodgers do then? He'd lose his number one source of medical advice.
I thought he was his own number one source for medical advice. Whatever.
Yeah, so.
I guess for me too is, as much as I may not like what some people say, I will defend the right to say it. And it's a slippery slope once you classify something as disinformation, especially when in the news. I mean, I've seen it just recently with my parents, actually. In the nursing home that my mom's in, they said that there is a massive outbreak of 90 in her home.
Okay.
There's not. It's 4.
Okay.
I know this because my dad goes there every damn day and pretty much talk to the same people who were there. And they wouldn't let him there if there was 90. There's only 80 people who actually live there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, of course, an outbreak can just mean nurses and whatnot, but again, disinformation.
Right.
What my point is on this, I don't really know. I'm just saying I don't know. I don't know that I had a point going there. I just worry that if you just start banning one group, there's not an end game on this. There never has been. I worked for a Chinese company who told me that Tiananmen Square didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Disinformation. Don't know. Either way, I just thought it was something worth opening, and I'm worried where this could go. I'm hoping nowhere, if that makes any sense.
We're in a constant battle every single day where what happened gets forgotten all the time. I mean, all the time. The big thing on Fox News today was that Joe Biden got ice cream the other day. Like,
oh, did he? What flavor?
Chocolate, 2 scoops, waffle cone, big deal. Like it's the worst presidential scandal of all time. How dare he do this with other things going on?
It must be different on it, because like on the, because I read it, that's they're going a completely different thing, and then I look to see what other people are saying, on CNN or MSNBC, and either way, I mean, I think it's a sad state of affairs when something's going to come out, and I already know what each group is going to say.
Of course, yeah. Like I said, I saw Eric Clapton and Neil Young Twin trending on Twitter, and I knew it was for completely opposite reasons and nothing having to do with music.
Yeah,
and I was right instantaneously.
Absolutely. And maybe it's not a good thing that we can sort of know exactly what certain sides of news will do. I miss the days of Cronkite, but that ain't coming back either.
No.
So let's have some fun. Let's talk Baseball Hall of Fame. I should have put a caveat today. Fast forward, this is going to get more vaccine shit, and nobody really wants to talk about it, myself included.
Fair enough.
All right. Baseball Hall of Fame wasn't what you thought it would be in terms of
I told you it's exactly what I thought it would be.
Mm-hmm, you did.
I told you that I thought that David Ortiz was going to get in somewhere between 75 and 80%, and he was going to be the only person elected.
Which
and
he was
selected between 75 and 8%. Actually, I was going to get 76. He got over 77. So, I mean, he outpaced what I was expecting. But, I mean, he almost got 78%. But, I mean, this doesn't put an end to the steroid era, because now the debates that we had over Clemens and Bonds, particularly, and Sosa to a lesser degree, and Palmeiro and McGuire and Manny Ramirez and everybody else, it's all going to fall on A-Rod now. I know Ramirez is still there, but we're not going to have to deal with A-Rod for the next 9 years on this. And A-Rod, by the way, started lower than either Bonds or Clemens when they first hit the ballot.
That is, when we get there, that shocked me. I had him pegged around 45.
Yeah, so I wasn't surprised that I was hopeful somebody was getting in. I thought it would be Ortiz. It was Ortiz. A lot of people are salty because Ortiz failed a drug test on the Mitchell report. Mm-hmm. And it was confirmed that he was one of the people who failed. There are defenders on the internet, and I have no idea how real anything is, that there were 10 false positives on the Mitchell report.
Yeah, I read that too.
Like there's like all this stuff goes back and forth. I don't know what it comes down to. Here's what I know. David Ortiz is probably the best person at his position. Now, a lot of people in the National League don't think it's necessarily a position, because he's only has 4 at-bats a game and plays first base in National League games. That's literally it, right? But he is the best person at his position perhaps ever in the history of the sport.
Agreed.
Your next closest are Edgar Martinez and Harold Baines.
Yeah, I mean, in that order.
In that order. And Edgar Martinez and Harold Baines are in the Hall of Fame.
Mm-hmm.
So if Mariano Rivera also was involved in about as much every single game as Ortiz, although Ortiz actually played more, because Rivera pitched 1 inning 100 times a year. Ortiz is hitting 3 to 4 times, or just over an inning, 150 times a year, right? So he actually has a little more playing time than Rivera. So getting that out of the way, I mean, he's also just Big Papi. He's a lot more popular than a lot of other people. His speech about this is our fucking city in 2013 was a rallying cry for Boston. He was the greatest postseason hitter of all time. In 2013, he hit 588 in the playoffs. 588 for an entire playoffs. Like, the dude was just a man of the moment. No one ever felt safe when he was up. So as a Red Sox fan, awesome. I'm glad he got in. I don't care what percentage he got. He got in on his first ballot. Amazing. I'm glad somebody got in, because if they didn't do that, we're going to be shut out maybe for the 3 straight years, because it's entirely possible nobody gets elected next year. I think somebody will, but it would not shock me if nobody did.
Yeah, so let's look at the 2 people we know for sure who won't. And Bonds 66.0 did go up. He was tracking ahead of 75, but like you and I have both said, the people who are more open skew younger and are more likely to vote for a PED guy.
Correct.
So
I also am confused as to who gets votes and who doesn't. Because some of these people who are voting don't actually cover baseball.
A lot of them don't, no.
So how do they get to vote?
The only thing I can think of is they qualified first by being a member, paying their dues into the baseball writers, which is sort of like why I know that I will never, ever get a Baseball Hall of Fame vote, because I'm never going to sign up for them.
Maybe I just should.
Well, maybe. I don't know. That's
why don't we just all sign up to be baseball writers? We all got our own, things, and see what happens.
Sure.
But I mean, if like some of these people just don't follow baseball, and then someone brought up the fact that what's his name, the announcer for the Yankees, who's never missed a baseball game in 57 years, and isn't allowed to vote. It doesn't make sense who votes. And some of these people who are making points, including the ridiculously named Mike Hunt, I'm not swearing, everybody. I'm not making that name up. That is the actual name of the gentleman who has submitted a blank ballot now 3 straight years. Like, what are we doing?
There's also a lot of writers, for whatever reason, in Japan. I know that, like, I get the whole diversity thing and all that, but I don't expect that a writer in Japan really understands everything that's going on in the majors. They're covering whoever is the Japanese superstar of the moment, which right now would be Ohtani. I'm not saying that they don't. I'm saying it's unlikely.
Correct.
Unless they're actually in the US. Maybe some of them are. I don't know, but that I wonder about that.
So anyway, so that's part of it too, because, and here's my soapbox. I have a couple soapboxes this week. This is my soapbox. I've been consistent on this ever since it happened. I'm going to say it again and again and again. I'm going to bang on Tony La Russa, not because of anyone else. I could pick Bobby Cox. I could pick Joe Torre. I'm going to pick Tony La Russa.
Yeah, he's the best one.
Tony La Russa coached Jose Canseco and Mark McGwire in Oakland, and coached Mark McGwire in St. Louis. Mark McGwire is penalized for using performance-enhancing drugs during his career. We know he used them because it was in his locker. And the guy who pointed that out and asked him about it, I would like to remind the people who are now standing in judgment, was treated as a pariah by his brethren.
That was true. That did happen.
How dare he break into, or like, it was out there in the open.
Didn't break into it. It was right there.
But how dare he disturb someone's privacy, right? The whole thing. So why does Mark McGwire and Jose Canseco, and I'm sure there are other people who played for Tony La Russa, actually, did Sosa play for him too? when he was at the White Sox? He might have at the very beginning of his career, but Sosa wasn't a big guy at that point.
Yeah.
Why do they get penalized and he gets to keep all the wins?
We know why. Because their baseball thinks that the whole thing is pure with the players, and they're not. They must think that the managers know shit. And none of them
if managers have so little control over the locker room that being with these guys 250 days a year, they can't figure out
who's. Of course they can, but that's the only thing I can think
of.
But
my point is, then what are they doing? Like it's
not. They don't belong there.
You can't. As soon as they elected Cox, LaRussa, and Torrey together, and then they put Bud Selig in, right? Who oversaw the cleaning up of the game, but used that steroids era to get them out of the funk from the 1994 strike. Or sorry, we call it the strike. It was a work stoppage. Like they locked the players out. The players didn't go on strike. They locked the players out.
Right.
So why do they get to stick around and everybody else? It's completely over. Now I understand the people who are like, once there was drug testing, if you get busted after that line in the sand, I get. Right. It was a Wild West. It was a Wild West before 2004. We'll give everybody a pass because everybody was doing it. But if you're using after 2004, when there was that, or 2006, when the actual full testing went in, we're going to hold you to a different standard. I get that argument. It makes logical sense.
Two things come to mind when I'm thinking of this. The first is when writers never want to admit they're wrong. And then when they're embarrassed, then they're going to hold a grudge. The second thing is, to your point about Selig, there were some of the Baseball Hall of Fame writers who said that is my tipping point. If this committee is voting in Selig, and I wish I remembered who said that, but it was more than one. He said, "Well, then this changes my opinion," and we kind of saw everything elevate up. Bonds and Clemens finished at 66 and 65.6 respectively, and as you like to joke, because I don't know how they decide one might be worth a vote other than that. But they did both climb up at least like close to 4.5% each. I don't know what this says for them in the future on a today's era game ballot. I don't know. It depends who's on this committee, which could be anything.
Well, that's the thing. The longer it goes, the more likely they are to get in, because the Joe Morgans of the world are dying off. Right. And I'm not picking on Joe Morgan. Joe Morgan was just very strident in his belief that anyone who ever used drugs ever, despite the fact that everybody in the league was using greenies when he was there, shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame. Like Hank Aaron admitted he used greenies, and then was like, anyone who used drugs can't get in the Hall of Fame.
Somebody we're going to talk about today said that same espouses the Joe Morgan belief. And that's Billy Wagner. He said that today. That I don't know why they're even on the ballot. So there's still some of these people who think this.
There are probably, if suspicions are correct, and we're putting Ortiz, I'm lumping Ortiz in it with this now that Ortiz is in. There are severe suspicions about Ortiz, Piazza, Bagwell. Who else we got? I personally have thought for years Ricky Henderson,
Ivan Rodriguez,
right? Ivan Rodriguez, yeah. Like Mike, yeah. Did I say Piazza already?
Yeah.
Like,
so,
are we even positive about Chipper Jones or Jim Thome? Or Frank Thomas?
Based on the way that they declined in later years, I'm more
right. It's possible, but are we sure they were clean their entire career?
No, and that's sort of like why though they say, well, I'm going to put in a blank ballot. But they've already established that. That's sort of like why I don't know who was in a group that said, well, maybe they should have a PED committee. Like, no, you don't even know who the fuck took it.
100%.
So, no, either way, I think this does bode a little bit well for them. Both of them handled it reasonably well. Clemens is on Twitter now, and he just said, and he was gracious.
He actually was. He was super gracious. He was super gracious to Ortiz. Real happy for him to get in. A-Rod was super gracious to Ortiz.
Yeah.
The only people who are not gracious to Ortiz were people who were upset that Bonds and Clemens didn't get in.
Right.
A lot of people using the statistics and all the advanced metrics for Bonds over Ortiz. I'm not going to argue with you. Like, you can put Bonds up against almost anybody, and they're going to look worse by comparison.
Right. Bonds was a PlayStation player.
Yeah. So I think at some point, I don't think they get in 2022. I think the person of the four of them who dropped off the ballot, I think the person who's most likely to get in 2022 through the players is Schilling.
Well, okay. So should we talk about him before Roland? Because Roland was.
Yeah, let's talk about the people. Let's talk about the four who left first, and we can go from there.
All right. So Kurt Schilling dropped from 71 to 58
because he told people not to vote for him, and they're like, "Sure, why not?"
At that point, yeah. I mean, you might as well. You know,
because there are a lot of people who thought they had 13, 14 people they wanted to vote for. If one person says, "Don't vote for me,"
then don't vote for him.
Then don't for him. Now, if he had never said that, would he make it? I don't know. I think it may have been close. I think he got to 71. No one's ever gotten that high with time left on the ballot and not gotten in before.
I mean, the only thing I can think of is if he would have kept his mouth shut, maybe, but he was never going to do that.
No, but is it possible he could have gotten what he needed, like 7 more votes last year or something like that?
I think he's also figured out that not getting in helps his career,
helps his brand.
I mean, he's got the brand of bitter player who was held out for his political beliefs, and he's not wrong.
Partially his political beliefs, and they're partially because he's just an asshole in general.
Sure. But I mean, like,
that's part of the reason Jack Morris took a long time to get into. It had nothing to do with his political beliefs. It had to do with
Jack Morris though also had poor sabermetrics, and as that sort of like grew,
that is also true.
Yeah,
but him being an asshole did not help him get in. Ortiz being super friendly in the media did help him get in.
Of course it did. I mean, David Ortiz is one of those people. Like, I don't know how you dislike him, even if you're a Yankee fan. I don't know.
Yeah,
he just seems like one of the most likable individuals ever. And you know, there's a reason why he got the Fox News. He got a Fox baseball thing, even though he's not a great speaker. Doesn't have to be. He's fucking Big Papi.
Yeah, he is essentially the Latin baseball version of John Madden.
I like that. So do we want to go then to Sosa?
Yeah, let's do Sosa too.
I mean, he got up to 18.
He's never getting in, is he?
Well, no, he got up to 18%, which is even strange thinking about it. Like, that was his highest, 18. That's the best he got.
Yeah.
And I don't know that there's any point even discussing him any further.
I don't think he's never getting in. No. He's completely unforgiven by the Cubs management, which I still don't get.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Tom Ricketts says that he owes the team an apology before he comes in. Apology for what? And why does he owe it to Tom Ricketts, who didn't own the team?
That's actually more accurate. I think there's some conduct that he could apologize for, but more to your point. Well, yeah. To you weren't there.
Yeah.
You know, what the fuck am I saying this to you for? No, Sosa is, if he's not even in the top 3 of this group, what chance does he have?
Not much.
None. And going back to what I said, writers don't want to be played a fool.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and a lot of people came out and said, well, Sosa was always a big asshole and he played all of you. Who wants to be embarrassed like that?
Yeah, entirely true.
I mean, I sure as hell don't. I'd like to think, though, if I was a baseball writer, I wouldn't hold that against him. I would like to think I would have that integrity. But it's hard when you feel wronged.
Just look at the people who are baseball writers, though.
That's true.
I mean, I bring up Shank all the time out of the Boston Globe, who was elected to the Baseball Hall of Fame a couple of years ago.
Mm-hmm.
I just like these guys are. There are certain people like Tim Kirkchin, who's getting in this year as well, who just absolutely love the game of baseball. No one has loved baseball ever in the history of the world more than Tim Kirkchin, right? That dude just lives and breathes it. A lot of these other folks have just become hot take artists, are being contrarian for the point of being contrarian.
Mm-hmm.
and it's their shtick, and it just, I don't know. I don't know. There's so many people who used to be good at their jobs, and I bring Shank up all the time because he's the poster boy for this, who just have become cartoon characters.
Well, as much as I like Skip and Shannon and Stephen A, it's not like I don't recognize that they're not a caricature. If
Oh,
they
100%
have
a caricature.
because a lot of their takes conflicting, especially Stephen A.
Yeah.
You know, like they're all over the place. So trying to get trying to get the perfect gauge on what he thinks. I mean, I was saying that, okay, I can do that for regular news. I can't do that with Stephen A. Because I honestly think he's playing a character to the detriment of who he really is. Is he entertaining as shit? Damn right he is.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't necessarily take anything he says as gospel. I take it as entertainment, and I take it as something to think about if he gives me a reason to.
Right. Understood. So I don't know. So let's keep going with the rest of the ballot. So let me say one thing. The
Sure.
three of these guys dropping out, and I'm not counting Sosa, but with Bonds, Clemens, and Schilling dropping out,
Mm-hmm.
there's three, and Ortiz getting voted in. Some of these guys who are voting for all 10 people now have 4 open spots. Like over half of them have 4 open spots to get people. And the biggest beneficiaries of this are Nolan, Helton, Wagner, and Andrew Jones.
Yes, and yes.
I think they all get in. The biggest thing for this ballot, and we're gonna when we talk about Billy Wagner, I want to talk about someone much more further down the ballot. But the biggest thing for people on this ballot was to survive. They needed to get through this ballot.
Right.
Because if you're there, the list is way less going forward for a long time.
Yeah, because like, who's the biggest name coming up? Beltran?
Yeah, Carlos Beltran.
Who's got his own issues.
Right. I mean, we'll see how much the 2017 Astros thing hurts him.
Right. So, I mean, Nolan and Helton, I think both are getting in next year. Wagner, I'm not so sure about, but Nolan is a lock in my mind for next year, unless they just want to go all purist. But I don't think that's where they're going to go. Nolan went up from 52.9 to 63.2. Helton, he's at 52 now. What was he last year? I didn't write.
He was at 44.9 last year.
Okay.
And 29.2 the year before.
Yeah, after debuting at 16.5. So Helton is looking very, very good. And he's also the beneficiary of Larry Walker getting in. Because Helton was
100%. 100%. Because, I mean, if you're going to vote steroids people in, or people who are thought about it, how can you get mad at someone for playing Coors Field?
Right. Well, they also have the humidor thing where they did work on those baseballs, but neither here nor there. I think Nolan and Helton did what they needed to do to advance shortly. Wagner, the same. So it's the first time he cracked over 50. He's at 51 even at this point. Not too bad considering where he started. Like he was a survivor, just barely getting past 10. Didn't grow in year 2, didn't grow much in year 3. Wagner, as much as I'm not a huge proponent of him, I can understand the arguments more and more as time goes on. He's got a great story.
Mm-hmm.
You know, undersized, just, you know, really never give up. I do always point at his abysmal playoff performance.
100%. He had an abysmal playoff performance.
And I think that should matter, but
okay.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, the thing that was most striking for me this whole time when looking at it, that he's up over 50%, and the biggest loser on this whole ballot, the person I thought should have had more time than didn't, is Joe Nathan.
Yeah, I thought that's where we can go with that.
Got 4.3%. Like, Joe Nathan is pretty close statistically to Wagner with all the advanced metrics. How is Wagner over 51%? Are people just like, well, I'm only voting for one reliever?
Yes, that's what they're doing.
It's just like Joe Nathan needed 2 more votes. If he got 2 more votes, he's on the ballot and he has a real discussion. And now he's one and done. He's Lou Whitaker, although Lou Whitaker is much better.
Lou
player.
Whitaker, yeah, Lou Whitaker is.
But Lou Whitaker is the most ridiculous one and done ever. Kenny Lofton was a one and done. Like, who's another one who was ridiculous?
If you want to go with relief pitchers, I think John Franco.
Yeah, there you go. But like,
I think was Quiz one and done.
I think Quiz was one and done too. I'll double check that now.
I mean, like for me, I mean, yeah, Quisenberry.
Yeah, 3.8% on his first ballot.
He was fucking dominant. And I never felt that Billy Wagner at any point was the best reliever in the league. I felt that about Quisenberry for at least 2 or 3.
Mm-hmm.
But he didn't have the overall career. And I get that. I mean, like that is something that you got to look at. But also Quiz did get the World Series, but anyway.
True.
Yeah, no, you're right about Nathan. I think that's one that he would have been worth another look. And I wonder when sometimes people are doing that, how many of them just voted for people because they wanted to talk about them again?
That's not a bad plan. If you have 8 people, let's just say you have 8 people on the ballot, I'd be tempted to do 2 more just to see if we could talk about them, give them more time.
Sure. So like how many people said, all right, well, Kurt, you don't want that. Maybe I'm going to throw this to Nathan or Torrey Hunter.
Yeah. Who did get up and over.
Right. But, for the second year in a row, he's just barely hanging on. The Mark Burleys who were trying to do that. Tim Lincecum might have been another one.
Yeah, Tim Hudson and Tim Lincecum at 3 and 2.3%.
Right, but Hudson made it last year, so now he's at
true. Yeah, Hudson at least had 2 seasons on it.
Yeah. So Andrew Jones is an interesting one, 33.9 to 41.1. That's where you want to trend. Sheffield.
He's gonna run out of time. He didn't go anywhere. Went for 40.6 to 40.6.
No, I mean, this is pretty much it. And Sheffield isn't the best at anything. Whatever category we want to look at on this ballot, I mean, it might help him clearing some of the stuff off because he's not the top 3 sluggers.
Mm-hmm.
He's not the top 3 guys associated with any team. He's not the top 3.
Well, I mean that's his big thing. If he weren't such a mercenary,
right,
it'd be completely different. Yeah, I mean, what is it? Milwaukee, San Diego.
Florida.
He played in Florida. He was with the Yankees.
Mm-hmm.
Did I believe there's got to be more? I'm leaving out.
There are, but
he's with the Dodgers for a while.
He's
the same thing with Lofton. Same thing with Lofton. He'd just stay in Cleveland, he'd be in.
Yeah, but at least with Lofton though, he had that first big giant run in Cleveland. Also after. Sheffield, I don't think was with any team longer than 4 years in a row. I could be wrong on that. I mean, maybe he started with Milwaukee for more than that. But while you're looking at that, Sheffield's not even the top 3 big assholes.
It's also true.
So like he's not even the most notorious.
Yeah. So he was in Milwaukee from 88 to 91.
Mm-hmm.
The Padres 92, 93. The Marlins from 93 to 97. Or sorry, 93, 98. The Dodgers 98 through 01, Atlanta 02 and 03, the Yankees 04 through 06, the Tigers 07 and 08, and the Mets in 09.
He's a slightly less talented Fred McGriff,
who will get in the Hall next year, just by the way.
Very well, cool, good. I think he's more deserving than Sheffield. I like Sheff.
Yeah, I do too.
But Fred McGriff was also a victim of being a hard-hitting first baseman in an era where there was a shit more hard-hitting first baseman. Sheffield and McGriff, too, both of these guys, as good as they were, if you were the GM, you're looking over your shoulder, saying, maybe I could upgrade this.
Mm. They also played for that 92 Padres team with 5 NL All-Star starters who were all gone within a year. It was ridiculous, that team.
Oh, God, yeah. So interesting.
It was Sheffield, McGriff, Alomar, Santiago, and I'm forgetting who the last one was on that team. But yeah.
I've been working on, I just uploaded it, the top 50 Marlins. What a strange team that is. It stands number 1.
Yeah.
But I keep writing the same thing. He was doing good, but then in the Great Fire Sale of 2004, or in the Great Fire Sale of 1998.
Yeah.
Oh, man, was it strange.
I still think Scott Mellenby needs to be on your list. So.
Oh, for the Marlins, I was wondering if
the Marlins
that joke, yeah.
Yeah. It's Giancarlo Stanton, Gary Sheffield. Oh, did Mike Piazza make it for his 3 games?
No, he did not. No,
Okay.
he did not. I'm actually now doing my preliminary stuff on the greatest Dodgers.
Mm-hmm.
I honestly don't know how Mets fans think that he was better in New York when it's not even close. And he was good in New York. Don't get me wrong, but
Mm-hmm.
it's Piazza.
Greatest,
I can't do it.
greatest 53rd round draft pick ever, right? So
That's true. I would think. I can't think of another, but
yeah, I
there's
don't know.
probably something to
So,
that.
but anyway, all right. So continuing down the list, is there anyone else we really need to discuss?
Well, A-Rod we kind of touched on. He got 34-3.
Yeah.
Jeff Kent's ninth year, 32-7. He went up 0.3%. Whoopity fuck.
He's not getting in.
Uh,
Manram.
No, he's not. He's not getting in either. Only
Hey, he
5.
gained 0.7.
Yeah, well, there's something. Well, okay, well, here we go. Let's talk
Yes.
about this guy. I wrote down on Twitter, I didn't need to look up to see if anyone fell more on a ballot than Omar Vizquel, because there's no way it's possible.
Correct.
And apparently someone did confirm that. 50, what was it? 49.1 last year. I forget, why did he drop from 49.1 from 52.6? Did we already know bits and pieces on this?
Yeah. So some of the ballots were in.
That's
when,
right. Yeah,
when it came out.
Right.
So some of the people who did it early did not know.
Okay.
And then the later people found out about it. So
yeah, so he debuted at 37 and he's now at 23.9. I fuck this guy.
does he fall off the ballot before year 10? It's possible.
Okay. Did that allegation or with that, is this going to trial?
I don't know.
Okay. If it goes to trial or anything like that, because I don't know whether this was just an allegation or whether this was an actual charge. I don't remember because I really don't want to look this stuff up. And
Understood.
Yeah. If it's something that's going to cause him to be in the news, then yeah, he'll drop off the ballot completely. Yeah. That's sort of my take, because then it becomes harder and harder. And I think this guy wasn't this cut and dry like a lot of people wrote a few years ago. I never saw it. To me, he's always been a defensive compiler. And another guy, again, I'm just thinking as a GM, I like having him. But man, can't I know that shortstops can hit for power now, you know?
Yeah.
It's if he had the same career in the 70s, he's in second, third year. If you take
maybe true.
If you take it sort of like a 15
I mean,
years
isn't he just Davey Concepcion? 20 years later?
Oh no, this, as much as I said Vizquel was overrated defensively, he's still better than Concepcion was.
True.
And yeah, and Dave is always helped by that whole thing. I'm a Cincinnati Red, and that's all I ever was.
That's true. So
that never hurts a guy. So I mean, I think he's fucked. I can't put it more bluntly than that, and I don't care.
Andy Pettit.
He dropped that one 13-7 to 10-7. That's a slight surprise to me. Why?
I just think there are so many people on the ballot still. I think he's not going to make it, but he's going to go up a little bit next year because the best starting pitchers coming in is John Lackey, Jared Weaver, Matt Cain, R.A. Dickey. Like none of those guys are getting in.
No.
Ubaldo Jimenez, Jeremy Guthrie, Chris Young, Houston Street. Like
a couple of those guys might not even make a ballot.
Yeah, I just took anyone who had at least 15 WAR and put it on my list for people who are available for next year. So
Jimmy Rollins, 9.4 first year. I don't get it with Rollins.
It's interesting that he's there. It's interesting that he got so much more than than Ryan Howard, who has an MVP and was one of the most feared sluggers for at least a time period in the late 2000s.
Yeah, but he's another Canerca. Massively popular, very good at one thing.
True.
And the voters are looking for more than that.
True. He should have been a DH in the American League. He might have made the Hall.
Canerco didn't. Got a statue, though. I wonder, is he the only player in Major League Baseball that's got a statue and was a one and done?
Maybe. I don't know.
I
It's
mean,
possible.
maybe there's one of Lou Whitaker,
There might be.
because that would make sense, putting one of him.
Come on.
Type that in the
Okay.
Google machine.
No, no, I was looking for, there's a statue outside of Fenway that has multiple people, and I'm just trying to figure out. Johnny Pesky only got 0.4%, and he has a statue outside of Fenway.
Okay.
But it's him, Bobby Dorr, Dom DiMaggio, and Ted Williams, the four of them together.
Oh, okay.
So,
All right. Bobby Abreu manages to stick around 8.6, drops 0.1. Mark Burley, 11 to 5.8. Eesh.
yeah, a lot of this, like I said, I feel like some of these people are going to go up. You just needed to survive this ballot.
Mhm. And the last survivor, Torrey Hunter, 9.5 to 5.3. I don't know if we've already talked about some of these people. But
Yeah, Nathan Hudson, Lincecum, Howard, Teixeira, Morneau, Papelbon, Fielder, and Pierzynski at least got votes.
Mhm.
Carl Crawford and Jake Peavy did not, but at least Jake Peavy owns one of the duck boats from the 2013 championship parade for the Red Sox, which is one of the funniest stories ever, really. Do you know how we got that duck boat?
I do not. How did he get that?
So they were told that they could only have 4 people in the duck boat for their family.
Mhm.
And so he had like 12 people that he wanted involved. And they said, well, he can't do it. So he actually went to the company and said, how much does a duck boat cost? And they said, apparently only 75,000, which is way less than anticipated it being. So he bought the duck boat at 75,000. So he's like, I own the duck boat. I can have anyone on it who I want to have on it. so he could get his kids. Like he had to choose between his kids and his parents and a whole bunch of stuff. He's like, I don't want to do this. So he just bought the duck boat, and he still has it. He's building a mini version of Fenway Park. I can't remember where he lives now, but he has like a little league field there, and they got to have the duck boat out front as part of the
Nice.
attraction. So yeah, so he got that going for him.
And also Papelbon 1.3, Bryce Harper 0. Enjoy that while it lasts.
Yeah. So anyway, yep. So coming on next year, here are the people who I have listed. Carlos Beltran is number 1, easily. Then we have Francisco Rodriguez, Jared Weaver, R.A. Dickey, Matt Cain, John Lackey, Andre Ethier, Jason Worth, Bronson Arroyo, DL Great, Jacoby Ellsbury, JJ Hardy, Jahani, I was like saying it that way, Johnny Peralta, Yunel Escobar, Mike Napoli, Aaron Hill, Eric Ibar, Carlos Ruiz, Ubaldo Jimenez, Jeremy Guthrie, Joaquin Benoit, Chris Young, Houston Street. I don't think other than Beltran, any of those are any significant. Maybe Francisco Rodriguez, but I don't think so. I think Joe Nathan is better than Rodriguez. So,
yeah, I'd have to agree. But based on the ballot he's entering, he has a better shot of actually surviving.
Yeah, I mean, there are only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 surviving people on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
Coming into this year, there were 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's 17 on the ballot, plus Ortiz coming on.
And I think out of all the ones who didn't get in, or didn't survive, rather, which one did you think at one point, well, this guy's getting into the Hall of Fame for sure, at one point in his career, out of any of these guys? I mean, there's a few that.
Justin Morneau.
Yeah, I could say that about Lincecum at one point.
Yeah, Lincecum too. But Justin Morneau, I think Morneau and Maurer with those Twins teams were just so dominant. I thought that he was probably. I mean, Carl Crawford, when he started, seemed like he had the opportunity to get there. He didn't even get a vote.
Prince too, but I mean, just having watched his dad and just where that was going to go, you kind of knew that you have this giant guy in really shitty shape, and when it's when he stops hitting, it's going to be abrupt.
Yeah.
And I know there was injuries involved, so it didn't quite go the way I would have, the reason I would have thought, but I never thought Prince was going to be, because he just was in such bad physical shape, carrying too much weight.
And think about it now, taking my Yankee hate away, Teixeira,
Mhm.
when he was with the Rangers and the way he started, seemed like he had the potential to make the Hall someday. So
that's a really good group of players.
Yeah, that's a group of quality players.
Absolutely. I mean, that's you can build a World Series off that.
Yeah, 100%.
Mhm.
Hudson, Lincecum, and Peavy as your 1, 2, 3 starters.
Yep. Papelbon to close.
Papelbon and Nathan in the bullpen.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Carl Crawford in center. Well, you have too many first basemen, so you need to have this at American League team, because Howard, Teixeira, Morneau, and Fielder can't all play at the same time. Although I guess Teixeira did start as third baseman. So
and maybe some of the people who didn't even on the ballot, maybe some of them can play defense.
True, entirely true.
No,
So coming for next year, what's your prediction? Way too early prediction for who gets it.
Roland's in. Helton is a 60 40 shot to get in.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Roland could, he's going in. It's just a matter of who's going in with him.
Yeah, so I think it's going to be Roland with Helton and Beltran ending up just short. I think Beltran gets in year 2. I think they're going to make him wait for everything.
Yeah.
And I say McGriff and Bruce Bochy coming off of the other list. I don't think there's any. Here's the funny thing. McGriff was the first person who got caught by the 10 years on the ballot thing. And he's actually going to get in sooner than he would have otherwise. So, because McGriff fell off the ballot in 2019, he's going to get in 2023, which he wouldn't have gotten in until the senior committee, because 2024 would have been his last year in the ballot. So I think he's clearly getting in next year. He has 493 career home runs, and nobody thinks he used drugs.
Right.
The only thing he was on was Nick Kamansky's fundamentals video,
which is the hat he's going to wear.
It should be 100% should be.
Yes, absolutely.
So, and everyone under the age of 30 has no idea what we're talking about.
Well, maybe
everyone over the age of 30 is like having flashbacks of seeing that video 400 times.
Yeah, when we love sports so much, I mean, all right, what's ESPN got? Well, okay, we're gonna watch that, and then afterwards, it's a rerun of the USFL game or something.
Yeah, right. And when ESPN really was the Ocho on its own. But yeah, I mean,
awful stuff, huh?
Yeah, that Nick Kamansky drills video was actually the longest and most run commercial in the history of television.
What did I watch? I mean, I know we're sort of taking this way somewhere else. I watched a Fantasy Island episode.
Wow.
With special guest Tommy Lasorda.
Oh, wow.
And he's scouting Radar O'Reilly, Gary Berghoff.
Oh,
his fantasy was to be pitched.
It's always good to scout somebody who doesn't have all the fingers on his hand there.
Berghoff is missing fingers
on his left hand.
Oh, is he? I didn't even know that.
Yeah, you'll notice every time in MASH, you can never see his left hand. He's always holding something in it.
Oh shit! How did I not know that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he struck out Ellis Valentine.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yes, and part of his fantasy, of course, the ball went like that, complete with sound effects. And then so nice. he quits his job, and then the fantasy's over, and then he can't throw a strike. Dumbass.
Where it goes. So.
Oh yes.
Anyway,
that was an awful segue.
Well, one other thing we should talk about before we go anywhere, we had a big retirement today.
Ben Roethlisberger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Potential first ballot inductee. I think a big thing is
does Brady retire?
Does Brady retire? Yes. Does Brady retire? Rodgers might retire. I don't think so, but he might. I'm not convinced JJ Watt's coming back.
I'm not convinced JJ Watt's coming back either. Yeah, this has a potential to be a all 5 first ballot class.
So we haven't got to Gronk yet.
Yeah. Well, Gronk will, if Brady retires, Gronk will retire.
Mhm.
Like
So,
he's not going to play with any other quarterback.
so Roethlisberger is going to get, and I know there's a very legit issue with the rape accusations. I think one was rape and the other one was inappropriate conduct.
Yeah, the
So,
Onion had an article today that the Steelers are going to put a statue of him in the women's bathroom.
nice. I shouldn't laugh at that, but
No,
but Roethlisberger got the send off. I read an article that says like if this was the Me Too era, but it wasn't. And I don't want to say that he got away with it, but I guess he kind of got away with it. I know that in our group, Jack is very much against Roethlisberger for that, and a big part of that for this. I get it. Taking that away, to me, he's got everything you want in your quarterback in the Hall of Fame.
2 championships,
Mm-hmm.
never had a losing season.
Right.
Has a again, and we're taking the off the field stuff out of it, but has a reputation of being a very tough player.
Mm-hmm.
Hung on too long, certainly.
Yep.
But if you put him up against, here's the thing with Roethlisberger, and I'm going to go into Aaron Rodgers later, but with Aaron Rodgers,
you're good.
yeah, well, it's not my good. When Aaron Rodgers losing in the first round, if he never wins another championship, I think he's no better than the 4th best QB of his era, because I think Roethlisberger has to be in front of him. Well, and Breeze. So here's the 5.
Breeze ahead of him. You know I would.
Yeah, but here's the 5 of them. It's Brady, Peyton. Sorry, Eli. Breeze, Roethlisberger, Rodgers. Those are the 5 who were basically a decade together. He's got 2 championships. He has more passing yards. Now I understand that Rodgers started later, right? Because he had to sit for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But like, you can make a legitimate argument. I mean, I'm not going to put Rivers and all those other guys in there.
No,
but like, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting what's there. It's all going to depend on what happens. And then Eric Weddle may retire again because we had him.
That's right. Yes.
We had him up before as someone who is going to be eligible next year or 2 years from now. 2 years from now.
Oh, that's fascinating. It's, where that could all go.
And who knows who else retires? Like, who we're not even thinking of yet.
Well, okay, Larry Fitzgerald didn't play this year, right?
He did not.
All right. So if he retires, his clock is already a year in.
Right. He and
Frank Gore.
And what if Adrian Peterson retires?
Well, yeah, because he did see action this year.
He saw action this year.
Yeah, and I can't see. That's 5 right there.
Mm-hmm.
Eli, if I'm Eli, you're thinking you got to get in right away.
Yeah, so we've discussed this.
Yeah,
he doesn't get in right away. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah,
and again, like there got to be offensive linemen here and there who are not even thinking of who are going to retire. And literally who else knows who could go? But yeah, I think JJ Watt, Gronk, Brady, Roethlisberger, Adrian Peterson, all legitimate shots. I actually don't think Brady's going to retire. I think he's going to do the one more year that he always said he was going to do.
Yeah.
In which case Gronk, I think, at least tries next season.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? So
yeah, the other interesting, Andrew Whitworth too. I wonder how much he's going to.
Andrew Whitworth. Well, he's the 2nd oldest player in the league. He's offensive lineman. He's the 2nd oldest player in the league.
Mm-hmm. So you've got all of that. Roethlisberger too. What also helped him this year is, when a lot of people thought he was the asshole.
Yeah, I know.
And now you've got Antonio Brown saying, all right, so where do you want to play? Well, I want to play with Lamar Jackson. Yeah, okay. I love Lamar. But I think there's only 2 quarterbacks that can sort of play GM. And you already burned a bridge with one of them. I think the other one's Mahomes.
Yeah, at this point.
Yeah. Lamar is not that guy who can sort of have that type of clout. Antonio, it's cute that you're already planning your next move. But please don't do it in football, man. Get your head right. Because it ain't easy. It's just not right. And then Bell too. He really I don't know that he didn't dumb himself out, or sorry, he didn't act himself out of everything, but he bet on himself and he lost, and sometimes that happens, and that sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It
Yeah,
really sucks.
I'm just looking at the all-decade team for the 2010s and seeing who else might retire.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think Richard Sherman's necessarily going to get in, but it's possible. He's done Dominican Sue. Did Geno Atkins play this year? I don't remember.
Don't believe so.
Yeah, and did Fletcher Cox play this year?
I think he was signed at the start of the year. I don't know if
I think he was. I don't know if he actually played either.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's possible we could have like a bunch of people from this team that are going to retire. So we'll see.
Yeah. Do we get into? Because I don't have much of an elevator up elevator. Well, we'll just go in the passage we always do. So, we've lost some great ones again.
Yeah, we did. So I guess I will start in with our death march here. I will start in the world of skiing, actually. Heidi Bible, who was the youngest woman ever to win a gold medal in the downhill when she just 3 days past 19 in 1960. She won in Squaw Valley in the downhills representing Germany. Passed away at the age of 80. Yeah, but she was 19 years and 3 days when she won the gold medal in 1960, which is pretty impressive because usually you need to get into your 20s before you really get the physical strength or stuff like that. Mm-hmm. From the world of auto racing, Vince Granatelli passed away, who owned racing teams that participated in kart and IndyCar between 87 and 91. He was 78 years old, passed away, complications. He already had pneumonia when he caught COVID, which is a losing combination.
Yes.
From another person who died from COVID this week, and I guess somebody who would be the Beige Mistress, gold medal winner in the 2000 Olympics, Sylvester Solani, who was the Hungarian gymnast who won men's rings gold in Sydney in 2000, passed away of COVID at the age of 51.
Yeah, Mistress likes some young this week.
Yes, she did. Let's see here.
Sounds like a bad porn title. Mistress likes them young this week.
You never know.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
There's a headline this week that said that someone was talking about a huge hidden stash of thousands of explicit pictures that Hugh Hefner had. And my wife read it and she's like, isn't that all Hugh Hefner had? Like, why does he have to have a secret stash of pictures of naked women?
Well,
doesn't make any sense.
You didn't know how to file. I don't know.
It was just dumb. Like, oh my God, Hugh Hefner had naked women pictures. Anyway, from the world of baseball, Gene Clines passed away. Longtime coach in Major League Baseball. He was coach with the Cubs, Astros, Mariners, Brewers, and Giants. Also a member of the 71 Pirates, who won the World Series. That World Series right before Clemente passed away in that offseason. He passed away at the age of 75. Played for 10 years in the majors. I don't need that anymore. From the world of hockey, Clark Gillies passed away.
Yeah. Hockey Hall of Famer.
Only 67.
Really, really good player. I was always a little. He never really struck me as a hockey Hall of Famer, personally. But I mean, it just doesn't feel like the right time to say that. But on playing with Bossy, Trottier.
And by the way, apparently Bossy is also on his deathbed.
What?
Yeah, he's apparently suffering with cancer and not long for this world.
Oh shit, I didn't know that.
Yeah, someone mentioned that in the stuff I was reading about Gillies.
Oh,
so man. I was confirmed. I went and looked it up. But
wow, man, Mike Bossy, what a player he was. I think it was a back injury that pretty much took him out of even doing even more than he did. Because he was fighting Gretzky a lot for the goal title. For a guy named with the last name of Bossy and being a clean player, it always made me chuckle. Just seems like the type of guy who should have a name where, contending for the Lady Bing.
Correct.
Yeah.
That should have been more a Guy Lafleur thing, and that was the opposite.
Exactly. But
Guy the Flower. No, but Mike Bossy, absolutely.
Right.
So,
right.
Clark Gillies was 67. He died of cancer. Fourth overall pick of the Islanders in 1974. They had a pretty good drafting period for those Islanders teams.
Holy shit.
End up with 697 career points between the Islanders, and he spent a couple of years at the end of his career with the Sabres. So,
a part of that Islanders dynasty, 4 cups. If I remember right, I think he was twice a first team left wing.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah. So he was one of those players. He could grind. He could score. He could play make. He could do a lot of things. I don't know that he was necessarily spectacular at one of them, but he was great at all of them.
Correct. Yeah. One of my favorite Clark Gillies jokes is though he grew up in Moose Jaw and Saskatchewan. They asked him where his hometown was located, and he said 6 feet from the moose's ass. Which I thought was a very, very good line. So Clark,
I'm looking forward to my prairie jokes, actually.
Excellent. Well, Clark Gillies again, only 67. From the world of music, well, I'll get a couple of other folks out of the way first. From the world of television, Peter Robbins committed suicide earlier this week at the age of 65. He was the voice of Charlie Brown.
What blew my mind was that he
was only 65.
Well, no, I thought those things have been around so long. I thought they were all dead already.
Yeah. He started the role in 1963 as a 7-year-old.
Oh,
so
okay, I guess that sort of explains that.
Yeah, but his real name was Louis Nanansi. He was Hungarian, but went by Peter Robbins. And yeah, he passed away. He had mental illness for much of his adult life. So he committed suicide earlier this week. Also from the world of television.
Can I go somewhere with that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. It's totally a different segue, but I just did something, part of self-improvement that a friend of the show and someone who I got to connect you with at some point, Fonda Bryant, who is the daughter of Johnny Taylor, and she's a suicide survivor and a mental health advocate. So last Saturday, I took a course that she taught on suicide prevention. So I just want to give it to her, just sort of like a way to sort of catch some of the warning signs that you may not normally notice. So I just wanted to give a shout out to that. And I guess that sort of was a time.
No, that's one of the best segues you've ever had. So good for you.
Well, the bar's pretty low for me on that.
Yeah, true. For you, the bar is just always open. Mace,
sober 2 weeks in a row.
Good for you. I actually just finished off we had a bottle of pineapple and coconut juice that we bought for my kids that nobody drank. So I took that, and there's a little bit left, space in the glass. So I filled it up with some coconut rum my parents bought in the Bahamas in 1983, just, to make sure I balanced out the glass there. Also passing away, producer Mace Newfield passed away at the age of 93. He was the producer of The Omen, The Hunt for Red October, Patriot Games, Beverly Hills Cop 3, Clear and Present Danger, The Saint, The General's Daughter, Sum of All Fears, and a whole bunch of other ones. But he passed away at the age of 93 this week. Also, one of my favorite mobsters passed away this week. Ralph Natale, who is the head of the Philadelphia mob and decided to turn state's evidence, became the first ever mob boss to turn state's evidence for the government, and then went into hiding. Passed away at the age of 86 while in the witness protection
If he
program.
was in hiding, how do we know he's dead?
It's all part of his plan, man. All part of his plan. Then also from the world of entertainment, Louis Anderson passed away from blood cancer at the age of 68.
You know, when I found that out, it was, again, Twitter's whatever things that trend there, I'll never understand. Coming to America was trending. So I'm thinking like my first thought was they're not going to try to make another one of these after the debacle of the last one. Oh shit! You know what my shitbox almost was?
What?
Cobra Kai season 4. Whoever wrote that, I think they're watching way too much wrestling. Good guy, now he's a bad guy. Now he's a good guy. Now he's a bad guy. That's for every fucking character. I'm not spoiling anything. That's kind of what they did in the other seasons. Now just every episode. Fuck off. And yet I watched it and I can't wait for season 5. But yeah, that was not one of my better segues. Yeah, so coming to America, that was what was trending. And I have to admit, that's what I wrote. Like when I saw that, that's not where I thought that was going.
No.
And he was so much more than that one character, but I think it just shows how special that movie was and how that held up. What did he have? One scene?
Yeah, just the one scene is on the grill there in the restaurant.
Yeah.
So, but just from all accounts from everyone else, one of the single nicest comedians out there, did all he could to support new folks coming up, and just sad. I'm not surprised. I mean, he was overweight for a long time. It's part of you that was, you'd see him, you're like, oh yeah, Louis Anderson's still around. You know what I mean? But yeah, 68, passed away. Announced he had blood cancer and then passed away 3 days later. So, from the world of the hub of the universe, Boston, one of the most important people in Boston passed away, David Mugar. David Mugar was, I just want to take a minute on him. He was the guy who paid for the fireworks on the 4th of July. He's the one who paid for the Omni Theater at the Museum of Science. He just kept donating back to his hometown, back to his home city. He founded Star Market, or his father founded Star Market. He ran all sorts of things in town, but literally he almost ran his business to give money away to people in the community. He put $5 million to get a new wing in the hospital in Cape Cod. Like, just an all around decent human being, like doing stuff with the money that you're supposed to be doing. Right. So he passed away at the age of 82. So just a moment for David Mugar. Then from the world of music, we lost 3 folks this week. First of whom is Terry Tolkien, who was with Touch and Go Records, Rough Trade Records, Number 6 Records, also the A&R representative for Elektra Records. He's the one who originally discovered both Stereolab and the Afghan Wigs, among others. He passed away at the age of 62. I was reading something else. He also is probably the person who's been credited the most for founding the term alternative music. That's actually his phrase.
That's something pretty big right there.
Yeah. So, he passed away in New Orleans earlier this week. So he had a rare and aggressive virus that left his doctors perplexed back in 2015 and never really fully recovered from it. So
that's what my dad always says. That's why they call it the practice of medicine.
Yes, I suppose that is.
Because he says a lot of things.
Yes, he does. We also lost Don Wilson, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, guitar player for the Ventures. Passed away at the age of 88. The Ventures, probably best known for Walked Out Run, I would say, right?
I'd say so, yeah.
Which, for those, it's a song that doesn't have any lyrics. For you guys who know, it's it's all I can do because we'll get sued. But I
think anyone who hears, that's all you need. You didn't need to do any more.
Yeah, that was pretty much it. So, but he passed away at the age of 88. But the biggest name that passed away this week, somebody who identifies as a rock and roll superstar as much as anyone, but at the same time, kind of treated as a musical clown at the same time. In some ways, Meatloaf.
Yes.
Marvin Lee Day passed away at the age of 74 from COVID.
That's actually probably the best description I've ever heard actually regarding that. That's so spot on.
Yeah, I mean, absolute rock and roll. Like his songs were amazing. Like he's a true rock star, but never treated seriously as one. I mean, like Paradise by the Dashboard Lights, kind of silly. It's got the whole baseball announcer thing in the middle. I would do anything for love, but I won't do that, which we've talked about on the show. There's 3 things he won't do for love, but nobody ever seems to realize that.
Which is what the song we're doing next week.
Actually. Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So he won't lie, he won't cheat, and he won't be running around. Which he says. So there's actually 3 things that he won't do for love. So the song's still screwed up. But that song just starts slow, and it's like, how many more instruments can we add by the end? It literally starts like him on the piano and ends with like a symphony orchestra and like the Electric Light Orchestra at the same time backing him up, and like a gospel choir, and it's ridiculous. So
but that's what they wanted.
It is like very few people did showmanship within songs like Meatloaf did.
Yeah, and when you bring up Paradise by the Dashboard Light, just should I try my bad impression of him in that video? No.
Fair enough.
Yeah, just like let me sleep on it, baby, and then just like, will you love me forever? Yeah, I didn't. That was awful. Hopefully you heard it, not saw it. That was, for even by my standards, that was one of the shittiest impressions I've ever done.
Yeah. So he was rated the 96th best guitarist in VH1's 100 Greatest Artists of Hard Rock.
Yeah,
96.
Really?
He was.
Okay.
But he also, of course, had very, very memorable roles again in both Rocky Horror Picture Show and Fight Club. He was in a whole bunch of films. So I'd think of those 2 first, probably more than anything else. I mean, his role in Fight Club, like I was like, why is I remember watching, I'm like, why is Meatloaf in this movie? And by the end, I was like, ah!
Oh, he was fantastic in that one. That might have been one of his best performances.
That was one of the best performances, literally, by any person who didn't belong in a movie I've ever had in my life. Like, why is this dude here? And he was just awesome in that whole movie.
Yeah, he unfortunately, a lot of people took to Twitter and really dumped on him. Did he die of COVID, or?
He did.
Okay. Maybe not the best choice that he made regarding that. And, it's not really the time to fucking bring it up.
Yeah.
Like at that stage. I did see something on YouTube where they said it was like the last video of him doing anything. And it was, I don't know how much it was, but he sure as hell didn't look the same. He didn't sound the same. He sounded old and frail. Yeah. So I think he had a hell of a lot more than COVID.
He looked awful from the
Okay, so you saw that too. Okay.
So, yeah.
Yeah. So
well, I didn't see that video, but I saw pictures from the last year of him with his family. Like over the last summer, there's a picture of him. It's a picture of him in like February of last year with, I can't remember who it was. He looked okay. And then there's another picture of him in July of last year, and he looked like with his wife, and he looked awful.
Well, he sounded just as bad.
Yeah.
But in that video, he was pretty much, he opens up talking about just how he lost like 80 pounds and he's got this wrong. But all these great people in the hospital, and like, I'm looking around and I'm so blessed, and, like, you keep fighting whatever you've got. It was really, really just a classy thing where he's just trying to put a bunch of shit in perspective. Like, yeah, I'm paraphrasing. I kind of look like shit, but things could be a hell of a lot worse.
Yeah.
So while COVID, I'm sure, I don't think COVID killed him, but because after
the reason that he was being dunked on is he said that he wasn't gonna get vaccinated, and if he died from it, he died from it. And then, with the way the internet is, whatever.
Right. And
but
that's
more than it. But yeah, he was ripe for, if he caught COVID, it wasn't going to go well.
Absolutely. And
it was like when what's his name, who was nominated a couple years ago out of Chicago,
Nominated.
God, I can think of his name. Give me 1 second. I will pull it up. Oh my God. I wish I need to like remember things before I start talking. Hold on.
Well,
Rock.
why should you do something that I don't do?
Fair. John Prine.
Oh, okay.
Like when COVID happened, like everyone in Chicago was like, please someone protect John Prine. And then John Prine got it. And we're all just like, this is just a matter of time.
Mm-hmm.
Like John Prine had basically, he was Montgomery Burns, where all the diseases were fighting to kill him.
Yeah.
They were all fighting each other off. That was just one more. We knew it was going to happen. That kind of feels what it seemed like with Meatloaf at the end there.
Yeah. And that's probably, I mean, because there's a difference. And God, I don't go this shit again, but there's a difference between dying from COVID and dying with COVID.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this is probably more accurate. But Jesus Christ, we're gonna stomp on him like within 12 hours.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
So anyway,
yeah,
that's my death roll for the week. So
yeah. Well,
back to you.
Back to me. All right. Well, I don't have a whole lot really, because the next section's elevator up, elevator down. Who's done something in the last week to make you think, well, their Hall of Fame chances got better, and who didn't to make it go worse? Now, coming off a great NFL weekend, you'd think there'd be something from that, but I don't really have anything from that. I just enjoyed all that. That was one of the best weekends I've ever seen.
I have to say, a preparation for elevator up. I have the move of Matt Stafford to the Rams.
I'm waiting. I'm sort of banking on that one later.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's in play that if he makes even just makes the World Series, if he makes the Super Bowl,
yeah,
that there's a whole nother thing for him. And it's just that he was in Detroit, which is devoid of hope for that long. And had he been somewhere else, it's a whole separate thing.
Mm-hmm. And it just sort of proved all the people who wanted to make that trade right. And I was one that questioned that openly, probably on this show. I did not see that value. Well, that's why I'm not a GM.
Well, the Rams aren't going to make any picks any year anyway. They haven't had a first round pick, I think, in 6 years now.
Yeah, I guess I just didn't think, okay, that this was your missing piece.
Yeah, understood.
So like more towards that. But so I do have an elevator up, someone we've never talked about, someone who's 31.
Is it Bill Belichick for winning Executive of the Year of the NFL?
It is not Bill Belichick. It's not even football.
He really needed that accolade is really what put him over the top.
Yeah, absolutely. I want you to bring up something from Hockey Reference.
Okay.
Because it's a hockey player who we talk about, and I don't know if you're bringing up some of the race bullshit that happened in hockey. No, I shouldn't say bullshit, just the awful thing that happened with Subban.
With PK Subban's brother?
Yeah. I don't know if that's one of your good, bad, and ugly.
It's not this week, but It could have been.
Okay, it could have been. So Nazem Kadri, when he was drafted by the Toronto Maple Leafs and then made the Leafs, he made history as the first Muslim player in the NHL. Nazem Kadri right now is playing fantastic. He's playing the best hockey ever of his career on a very good Colorado team.
He actually has the most points of his career in a season. Oh, not quite yet. He had 61 points in 2017. He's got 55 already at this point.
I think at one point I might have even been leading the league in assists at one point.
Yeah, he has 55 points in 38 games so far.
Okay, so Kadri is playing really good. It's a great story. I really like it. I don't know. This could be very, very much too little too late, but he's going to be an all-star this year. He is doing everything you need on a very good team to do something. And he's, for me, like the surprise player of the year in the NHL for what he is doing. And also, too, I like bringing up someone we've never talked about.
Yeah, 100%.
And Kadri is just someone I wanted to acknowledge, like what a phenomenal year. And I don't say seemingly out of nowhere, but you usually don't have your breakout at age 31. Not that he wasn't doing well before he was, but this is not typical. But it has happened. where someone just puts it all together in their early 30s and strings together 4 or 5 all-star years. It's going to be
It's
tough.
possible.
It's going
But
to
I'm
be.
yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, but he now sees the Hall of Fame building.
Fair, but I mean, he's never finished higher than 20th in the Selkie for an award.
Right.
Like it's the highest he's ever been at any point in his career. He's still a negative player for his career.
Mhm.
He's got 55 points this year and 480 for his career. So probably go over, if he wants to get started, he'll probably go over 500 points for his career. He needs at least another
he needs
300 or so.
He needs way more than he can probably get. But he reminds me of it of Julius Randle last year, who was in his late 20s, I think 27, was doing well, and then all of a sudden it's like, holy shit, where was this waiting all along?
Right.
And so, like, someone who unlikely will be able to do what's necessary, but he's never someone I thought I'd ever bring up on the show for this purpose. And I thought that was worth bringing up.
Fair enough.
And from everything, just a really good guy from what I've read and what I've heard. Good Canadian boy. I like that. I don't get to talk about enough Canadians.
I'll drink some clearly Canadian in his honor.
Well, nice. There we go.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my elevator up. There was nothing that really stood out to me.
Fair enough. Well, so I guess it's the good, the bad, and the ugly then. So I'm actually gonna go with what I showed you for the good. I know you are the women's tennis guy.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna go with Elise Cornet.
You're taking my material.
I know
my territory. Yeah, but yeah, please go ahead. It's good.
Yeah. So Elise Cornet this is the 63rd time that she had been in a Grand Slam tournament in her career. She's a French tennis player. She is 32 years old. Mm-hmm. And she made it for the first time in her 63rd attempt to the quarterfinals of a Grand Slam tournament. She's been to the 4th round 6 times and never made it past that. And was just all tears and dropped to the court on her knees and apologized afterwards. There's so much emotion for somebody doing it for that long to finally, again, in their early 30s, get through. Now, she got beaten in the very next round, but I just want to score one for perseverance.
And we know, I think we have an Aussie in the finals for the first time in a long time on the women's side.
That is possible. I didn't actually see that. I actually haven't seen who is in the finals. I kind of lost track for this week because it was a kind of crazy week. But yeah, I saw that she lost on Tuesday to the American, was it Delia, but Collins? I can't think of her first name right now. So it's the D, the 27th ranked player in the tournament. But yeah, I want to give credit to someone who just persevered for a long time. It makes me feel good. So there we go.
Is there more tennis coming?
Now?
No.
Yeah. Do you want there to be?
Yes. I just want to say sort of like a fuck you to the Australian Tennis Association for making people take off their "Where's Peng Shui" t-shirts, especially considering that the WTA, as you mentioned in one of your previous sections for this, is actually one of the only ones standing up to China and really asking these questions.
Yep. I didn't actually see that.
Yeah, so that apparently happened. So look, they didn't have a stand. They didn't have to make because the governing body is. I don't know how proactive they're being, but they're doing better than probably any other sport in the same situation.
Fair enough. Speaking of something that's not doing well for a sport in its situation,
that's
the bad. The Arizona Coyotes. I firmly believe.
Repeat what you said about Tampa Bay last week.
Yeah, they were at the Rays. Yeah. I firmly believe that there are hockey fans in the Phoenix area, in the Arizona area. I do not believe that the Coyotes are going to be able to survive given the political climate there and where their arena is and everything else.
It's the arena. That location, and I've been there. Well, I haven't been to that arena, but they'll do that for the football stadium right next to it.
Mm-hmm.
Hockey is not life in Arizona. When it was downtown, this was told to me by someone who works by the Coyotes.
So go ahead. You got the inside scoop on this. Go for it.
Yeah, no. So like, I don't want to say who, but somebody who does work there for a long time has said like it pretty much is killing it, and it has ever since they made that change. Hockey can work in Phoenix. It's got the population. I'm just trying to remember what, because this was like 10 years ago.
Well, right, but Glendale's just on the wrong side for where the population is and the roads are and everything else.
Right. I mean, it's not something that people are going to make that much of an effort to go to yet. Maybe one day, but the way it is structured, it wasn't easy to get there for football. Let alone trying to convince people that aren't really big on hockey this is something you want to do. You've got to make it a great experience, and they can't do that where this is located.
Right. So have you heard their solution?
Oh God, no. What? No. Do I want to know?
This is why I'm bringing it up.
Okay.
So they're now in advanced discussions with Arizona State University to use the new multipurpose arena that they had used as their temporary home for the next 3 to 4 years. The capacity of that arena is 5,000 people.
I'm speechless.
The NHL did not work this hard to keep teams in Atlanta or Hartford or Quebec.
Well, yeah, combine those markets don't have the potential that Phoenix does, but yeah.
I am not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying they certainly didn't work this hard to keep them in any of these places.
What am I missing that they can't do this at Talking Stick? Or is it Talking Stick? I forget the name of the arena in where the Suns play, which is right downtown. I mean, I know they can do it.
Is it Robert Sarver?
I don't know. I mean, like that's something I'm going to look into for next week, because I know obviously they can do ice there because they bumped the WNBA finals for ice capades, so they can do it.
It may just very well be Robert Sarver.
Yeah, because I guess
I would blame most of the problems in Arizona on Robert Sarver, just in general. So yeah, but this is not good for the Coyotes. This is very, very bad. And it's very, very bad for the NHL if they have one of their teams playing in a 5,000 seat arena for 4 years.
It's a bad look. I mean, we've seen temporary things before, but nothing in an arena this small. Like where was Charlotte playing before? Or Carolina?
I don't know. I don't remember.
I want to say it's either Raleigh or Winston-Salem before. So I think it was like a 10,000 seat arena or something to that effect.
Okay, well, that would be twice the size.
Right. So like this is a hardly, yeah, it's a bad look. It's bad for everything on TV. It's not going to make the people that want to go see it. And they put a shit product on the ice, and they've been terrible for a long, long time. That certainly doesn't help.
Nope. I mean, there are other Kansas City's got an arena ready to go. Just move them at this point.
You know, sometimes you just got to take the L. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. And people will understand why this didn't work.
It has been working for over a decade at this point. If anyone but Gary Bettman were the commissioner, this would be over.
Anyone but Gary Bettman? In a world where Rob Manfred exists?
Rob Manfred would have already folded 4 teams in the NHL.
All right. So he would have done something worse. All right. Fair.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. He would certainly not have dragged this out.
Rob Manfred would probably be going to the wrong place. He'd probably be going to field hockey games and wonder why all the players are wearing skirts and not understand what's going on.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's my bad.
That's a good bad. That's a very good bad.
Yeah. We've done enough racism stuff. I don't think I had to say anything other about PK Subban's brother other than racism. Bad. Stop it.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty nice take that we should all have. Yeah, and there's nothing more to go there. But you know, one thing, because my dad asked me about that. He says like, well, maybe he really didn't do it. So okay, you see the footage from where it was.
Yeah.
Because the guy who did it was trying to say, well, I was trying to do like a gym pose, as if like you're always beaking off your mouth and acting like a tough guy. From the angle I saw, I mean, I suppose it's theoretically possible, but here's what I know. Once Subban went right after him, Subban's teammates came out and the other guys didn't. That's all I need to know.
Yeah.
I don't need to know anything more than that. Because
Fair enough.
if his own teammates aren't coming out to sort of like do all this when it's a disadvantage, when does the last time you ever saw that in hockey?
You don't.
Right. So that's where I'm going to leave it there. So there's my benefit of the doubt on that one because of what happened with the teammates. That's it. I'll close at that.
Fair enough. So my ugly, I've been waiting so long for this opportunity.
Is Dick Butkus your new favorite player, by the way?
Dick Butkus, I can't disagree with that man on anything. He definitely put the whammy on Rogers. So I just want to go back for a second. 3 weeks ago now, we picked the teams in the NFL playoffs and decided which ones we're going to go with. So last week I didn't have the list in front of me. I have the list right here.
No,
I didn't have the list in front of me last week.
See it.
Well, hold on. So we had I jokingly said before we did this that I would take whoever the Packers were playing in the playoffs in the NFC Championship game. Turns out
you meant it.
I did mean it.
Yeah.
So going into this, coming this week, I had lost the Raiders and Cowboys, and you lost the Patriots, Steelers, Cardinals, and Eagles. There were unfortunately, your three remaining teams were the Titans, Buccaneers, and Packers. All of whom were lost on last-second field goals.
Yeah, my favorite part when you sent me that message, those two. Oh, by the way, my team's only lost because we played each other.
That is true. I lost the Bills this week, so I got the Chiefs, Bengals, Rams, and Niners. It doesn't matter who wins, I still win. But anyway, Aaron Rodgers.
Sorry,
I've been through before why I did not think he was the MVP.
Mm-hmm.
I think that he is an incredibly selfish and self-centered man. And his responses after that game bore that out. That he has a massive need to be a victim for reasons I don't understand.
So which ones do you want to focus on of his litany of responses?
I want to focus on this.
Okay.
He can blame his special teams all he wants.
Which is fair on that game.
Which is fair on that game. His defense played their freaking hearts out.
They played very well. Mm-hmm.
He scored on his first drive and led them to 3 points after that. Now they had a field goal that was blocked. So I'll give him the benefit of the doubt on that. That would be 13 points as the number one seed in a situation in which his defense dominated the other team. We hear all these people say that Rodgers is better than Brady. And again, I'm a Brady defender. I'm a Patriots guy, right? I've heard for years and years and years about how if Rodgers was only had Bill Belichick or only had a defense, Brady had all his advantages, right? The best argument you can make for Rodgers being Brady is better than Brady is a fantasy that if he were Brady. Like, that's the best argument you can make. They had the chance to put that game away. They had, before that punt was blocked, right? They had the ball. The 49ers turned it over on downs. Why is it? Sorry, I have something up. For some reason, with my sound off, it's still playing ads on the side. I apologize for that. But why are he had 3 plays on that. They needed to get a first down. He had 3 plays. You know how many yards they earned on those 3 plays?
I can't remember, but it wasn't very many.
-9.
-9.
And then punted. And he got the ball back with needing to do something with the ball.
And he did nothing.
And he had 3 plays. You know how many yards he got?
-8.
-6.
That's close.
This is your MVP at home in the playoffs. He has a history of coming up small his entire career. in the playoffs. Like, you want to rip on Billy Wagner?
Yep. But no,
I
yeah.
understand that he has a Super Bowl, but since that Super Bowl, he's been a shit quarterback in the playoffs. He's not somebody you can count on. And this whole idea that he is even in Brady's league, he's not in Brady's league. He's not in Manning's league. I would much rather have Drew Brees than him.
We don't put it like that.
I'm just saying Brees has won. Brees has
Yeah.
won Super Bowl too, right?
Yeah.
And Brees has legitimate gripes with some of the bullshit things that happened to the Saints.
That's very true. I mean, my take watching that game is special teams won it for San Francisco, but Rodgers had every opportunity based on the Packers defense and Jimmy G shit in the bed.
On the third down play before the block punt, he threw down the field into double coverage for Devontae Adams. Was not complete. Wasn't close. Here's what happens to Rodgers in the playoffs. He focuses in on one player. It's the same thing that happened to Brady in 2007, by the way, in the Super Bowl. When the Patriots got down that Super Bowl, he kept just trying to force it to Moss into double coverage when he had other things open. Had he just looked downfield, he had Alan Lazard legitimately in 20 yards of space, like a 20-yard radius all the way around him, right in front of him. Just dump it off. He needs to do what Brady gets accused of all the time, which is taking the check down because he doesn't have the arm, right? So the knock against Brady always takes these dinks and dunks. Well, guess why he takes the dinks and dunks? Because they're open. Don't play hero ball. Just take what's available. If you just hit Alan Lazard, this game is over. Never even looked at him. Directly in front of him with nobody else there.
So your ugly specifically is Rodgers to react, or people still trying to say that this guy is at a certain
his play versus his reputation for his defenders on the internet. Okay. Like I joked before the game, I can't wait to see what his detractors say or his supporters say when he loses this game.
You did say that.
And they were there. They're out there again, talking about how he's just like it's always if with him. The best argument you can make that he's better than Brady is a fantasy world in which he's Brady.
So the Rodgers rate is not as good as the Patrick Price. I think that's pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, who feels worse about their thing with State Farm with Rodgers or tied with Matty Ice for their cold calls?
Yeah, but Matt Ryan isn't hated by half the population.
That is also true. Yeah, there's a few people who are more hated who haven't committed a crime.
Aaron Rodgers. My thing though with that, I do think he is the target of a lot of unnecessary hate. I think necessary dislike. There's a difference between dislike and hate. But
he's just an asshole.
There's that too.
He's just an asshole. He's a smug asshole whose reputation far outweighs his accomplishments.
You know, going back to something we started off, and I'm not going down this whole rabbit hole, but I just briefly want to touch on. Like when you saw Neil Young trending with Eric Clapton, it's like when Aaron Rodgers, I knew what Kaepernick's name was going to come up. I knew it.
Oh, of course, 100%.
And just like, oh fuck, I started. People stop. If most of the time that they bring up that name, it's usually by accounts that know nothing about football or never say anything about it. That's all I want to say. I don't want to go any further. I don't want to go on another rant on this.
Yeah.
So
all I'm going to say is Aaron Rodgers in his era is not only not Brady, he's the tear down. It's Brady, Manning, Breeze, and I will hear Roethlisberger of him.
Wow. Okay.
And
I see.
and he is there with Matt Ryan, Philip Rivers.
I can't wait to debate his Hall of Fame thing as we do all this.
God. So it's just his reputation was so badly damaged by that game. And again, Brady lost this week too, but Brady lost the game in which his offensive line could not block anybody. Mm-hmm. And again, ridiculous luck that he came back for 27-3 in that game. Like ridiculous luck.
Absolutely. I mean, it sure looked like they were coming back.
Yeah, that was way more luck than the Falcons game. Like ridiculous luck.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then he brings him all the way down again. Someone else. Just I'm not necessarily a football coach. I will say this: if they need to get down the field behind you, I don't know if I zero blitz with a safety covering the best wide receiver in the league this year with Cooper Kupp. I don't think that's probably the way to go.
I hope he wins MVP.
I hope he does too. I think he deserves it, but he won't. It's gonna go to Rodgers, and he's gonna get booed. So
Rodgers is in desperate need of a redemption arc. I don't know how he gets it. I don't know if he can get it. I don't even know if he wants it.
Is he going to go to Denver now that his offensive coordinator got hired there as coach?
That's been the scuttlebutt, but we'll see.
But do you really want, if you're trying to win a Super Bowl, do you really want to be the same division as Mahomes and Justin Herbert?
Maybe that's not necessarily what who knows what he wants. He's a weird dude. We've been hearing that this guy has been a little bit left of center for a long, long time. I don't say that politically.
I was gonna say it's probably right of center.
Yeah, exactly. After I said that, it's just I was thinking of Husker Du for whatever reason.
There you go.
Yeah. But okay, he's been a different type of cat.
Agreed.
We could just sort of say there are some stories on him, good, bad, indifferent, ugly, but people play for him. Now his reputation took a shit kicking, mostly because he was so wishy-washy.
I mean, that was the whole thing this offseason, trying to get the GM fired and everything else.
Right now, like I've said before, I don't know how. I'm assuming most of his teammates knew about his vaccination stance. I really believe that they all knew, and I think a lot of them didn't care. I think a lot of them totally got vaxxed because they knew they had to. Because there's a lot of people who, I know them on this island, a lot of people did it and they didn't want to do it. That's neither here nor there. People can believe on people who have different opinions on certain things. But why do you want to put your faith in somebody who you know doesn't want to be there?
Right.
And
here's my redemption arc. You ready?
Sure.
Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, Aaron Rodgers, go to play under Jeff Fisher in the USFL and win a championship. There we go.
I thought maybe they were going to go into a bar.
No, all of them get a redemption arc together. So.
Oh well, that's what Le'Veon Bell means. That's what he's missing is that USFL title.
100%. So sorry, I know we've gone a long time. I want to just bring up one last thing on a completely different topic. I just want to talk about international soccer for a second. There were 3 things that happened that were interesting this week. Mm-hmm. One, we had our first ever female referee for an African continental game. So congratulations on that. As I said, there's absolutely no reason why women can't be officials in any of these sports.
Sure. No reason why they can't screw it up just as bad as a man can.
100%. Yeah. I mean, I for one, am in favor for robot overlords. 2, remember I told you about the crazy game, speaking of Africa, that Mali and Tunisia played?
Yeah.
Guess who has to play each other for a right to get into the World Cup? They had the draw this week for Africa. So Africa's got 10 teams left.
Yeah.
And the 10 teams are playing a home and home. And it ended up being
Mali and Tunisia.
Mali and Tunisia drawing.
Is it the same
Fourth.
ref crew?
I hope not. So yeah, so only one of these countries is getting in, Senegal or Egypt, which is terrible because either Salah or Mane missed the tournament, which
one
is
of each game that you're gonna, or one
I'm
of
sorry?
the whole thing.
One out of each group of two. They have a home and home in March.
All right.
So yeah, so it's Senegal and Egypt, Algeria and Cameroon, Nigeria and Ghana, Morocco and DR Congo, which is just going to be Morocco, and Tunisia against Mali. Everybody wanted to play DR Congo. All those countries have made it before, except for Mali, to the World Cup. So we'll see exactly what happens there. And the last thing on World Cup qualifying, and the reason I'm clearly Canadian, I've said that Canada was going to qualify for the World Cup the whole way through. We got 5 games left. It's possible you could still collapse. You guys won in San Pedro Sula tonight to beat Honduras. You got 19 points through 9 games. You're in first. You have the highest goal differential at +10. You got the U.S. on Sunday in Hamilton.
Ontario.
Hamilton, Ontario. The U.S. and Canada play. So very, very big game, but good for you guys. Costa Rica beat Panama tonight. None of the games matter except for that one, because Canada beat the 8th place team. The U.S. beat the 7th place team in El Salvador, and Mexico beat the 6th place team in Jamaica. But 5 and 4 played, and 5 beat 4. I was hoping that 4 would beat 5, which would have tightened it up, would have put Costa Rica really far back. But you guys at least will not finish last in the group. Honduras officially cannot catch you at this point.
Well, look at that.
So
you're just right about everything.
Yeah.
I'm right about nothing.
And this is what I want to be right about. Canada's team is freaking good for the first time in my remembered life. They're a very, very good team. Not only will they make the tournament, they have a legitimate shot, depending on what group they get into, of getting out of the group. I don't think they're gonna win anything. I don't think they're quite there, but they have a chance of being a legitimate chance of being a team that gets out of the group.
And I guess, I'll be back in Canada to watch that. So it'll be interesting to see how Winnipeg supports soccer. I really don't know. I mean, it's pretty much a hockey town through and through, but that'll be interesting. I guess we'll close off with some blatant self-promotion. Evan and I are going to be part of another group this Tuesday where we're going to induct our Pro Football Hall of Fame class. We obviously can't sway anyone's opinion because they've already voted, but we're just going to have a little bit of fun with that. Each of us are going to be doing presentations. So I'm just trying to finalize a bit of that. So tune in for that. Our baseball one was up from last week, and that was quite a bit of fun. We also inducted Ortiz, for what it's worth. Big shock there. Chris Bournet and I, we did the Are You Hot? And I just sent that off to the webmaster. Are You Hot might as well have been titled, Are You Fucking Boring? This is the most boring reality television show I've ever watched, ever. And whatever they came up with, they did wrong, but they couldn't fit that on the placard. On How the Hell Did This Go #1, we just recorded Donna Summer's MacArthur Park.
Yes. Excellent. I stand by the statement. There's never been a hotter woman in the history of the world than Donna Summer in 1975 and 76.
And if you don't believe that, Midnight Special, I Feel Love. Yeah. And we're going to do the Meatloaf tribute because we're going to do. I would do anything.
I would like to point out she could also sing a little bit. That Donna Summer.
Yeah, she could. And that was something that was really where we went. It's really our big takeaway from that is how the hell did that become her first #1 when those hits, Love to Love You Baby, just said it, I Feel Love.
The 70s were a weird freaking time, man. The songs that went to #1 were nuts.
That's why I did the show.
Yeah.
For that very reason. So next week might be more of a tribute as we try to figure out what that is, because we also looked at Shout, because let it all out. Well, shout about what? I don't know. But
how about the things you can do without? Come on. I'm talking to you. Come on.
I still don't really know what the hell that was about. But so be it. That is pretty much I have a book. Buy my book. Wrestling fans, Chavo Guerrero Sr. It's the autobiography I helped him write before he passed away. So check that out on Amazon. Chavo Guerrero, instant classic.
And for me, my animated TV show for Vox Machina comes out tomorrow officially at
That's
midnight
tomorrow?
Pacific. Yeah,
I'll
so
check
2
that out.
a.m. for me in Central. It's first 11 reviews came in for critics on Rotten Tomatoes.
Mhm.
Through the first 11 reviews, it has a 100% fresh score on
Nice.
Rotten Tomatoes.
Well, I'll be watching that right after our show last week. Evan had me watch the trailer because like I'm not going to be into this. I'm going to be into this.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think you will. So anyway, guys, thank you very much.
Stay safe, everyone, wherever you might be. That's a good place to be. Yeah, that's a terrible end. Yeah, whatever.
You won't edit it out anyway. Take care, guys.
I won't. Bye, everyone.
Bye.